Hey, everybody. Happy Friday of Labor Day weekend. It is so great to be back with you. So this is great. Al is here. Bill is here. Sherry's here already. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for jumping in. Because the president's going to read the teleprompter at 8 o'clock tonight, I'm going to try to have this done. So I'm going to do a short podcast so that we can all go watch the president, read the teleprompter. Uh, Labor Day weekend, big deal at the Jersey Shore. I don't know if it is anywhere else, but it is here because kids go back to school starting, I guess, Tuesday in most places. Oh, I think James is here. Hold on. There he is. Hello. Hello. One of these days, you're going to get here on time. Just one.
One, at least one.
Yeah,
could be two.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It could be two, maybe one.
Sherry's the one who said you yell. Just saying. Sherry, I told him. He yells.
See, Sherry, I got a haircut and my beard cut, so I can talk much quieter now.
She said, we're going to watch Joe squint while reading the teleprompter. So I was just saying that we're going to try to get this done by 8 so that we can all watch the president read the teleprompter. So just a note, please like the podcast, please subscribe to the channel. If you have not done so, please do. We would appreciate that. And some programming notes. Tomorrow, I'm back on 1210 WPHT in Philadelphia, where one of our former colleagues, Dan the Pool Boy Borowski, who used to work on the show that James and I did in Atlantic City. James was my producer on Life with Mary Walter out of Atlantic City. And Dan just became part of the show in some weird way. He wasn't getting paid, but he just became part of the show. Nothing else to do.
And now he's a dynamite producer.
He is for Dom Giordano, who's a great host. So
yeah, Dom's great.
Pool Boy's come a long way since he flew the nest. So I'll be there 10 a.m. to noon tomorrow. And then Saturday, I will be on the Wendy Bell Show on Newsmax TV, 4:30 Eastern Time. You can watch it at newsmaxtv.com. Or if you go to newsmaxtv.com, you can also see, it's like on every cable channel. You just have to find the number for whatever system you have, whether it's Roku, whether it's Comcast, whatever it happens to be. They've got a big list of them there, and you can check it out. You can just watch it on your TV. And then Monday, I'm assuming I will be back on the Chris Salcedo Show around 4:45. It depends. We're usually, Mike Reagan and I are usually at 4:45, but they've moved us lately to 4:15 and 4:35. So usually 4:45. So
4-ish.
About it. Yeah, 4-ish. I thought you said whorish, and I'm like, what?
That's right.
What?
Chris is very whorish. Yeah, he's.
No, he's a nice guy. And your hair looks great. And the beard, you look so cleaned up. It's a good look. I like it.
I don't look like an animal.
No, you look handsome, dude. You look handsome, put together, cleaned up. I like it, ladies.
I don't know if you noticed, but these are falling off me. These are starting to be rather large. My pants are. I have to wear a belt. It's
so the first time I met
James,
he was wearing a Pillsbury Doughboy shirt. Like he looked like he just crawled out of a dumpster. Does that thing still fit you? And they say to me,
no.
So he's going to be your producer. I was like, oh, okay. And do you still have that shirt?
No, I was a 2XL then. I gave it away. Now, and this is an XL, and I'm about to hit large and maybe size 34 pants.
Wow, I'm so proud of you. Are you healthier? Are you feeling better?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's helped my back a ton. So, us old people with our backs.
Exactly. Well, if you tighten your belly and you work on your abs, your back will feel better. Also, stretching helps a lot. Pilates, yoga, something like that.
I've been doing a stretch therapy. It's been the best thing in the world for me.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's
unbelievable.
It works.
Yeah.
You have to tighten up your abs, so that's the next thing.
Yeah.
Al,
or have abs.
Well, you're on your way. So
slowly but surely, yeah.
Right?
That's right.
A little bit, maybe steps here and there. Yes, it would be easier for us to just read the teleprompter. So
I like that comment.
Speaking of the president's reading the teleprompter tonight, I just saw this, and Karine Jean-Pierre, that woman who just flips through the binder and then just lies to us, and everybody, like, people aren't just walking across the board. Or she actually really said that.
She did.
Like, wait, Peter Ducey's like, no, that's literally what's happening, and she's like, no, it's really not. That's not what is happening. It's like, no, it is.
You're taking those videos out of context, Mary.
Oh, that's what it is. So she told us that the president is not going to address any one party in the speech tonight. He's not going to do anything, but some excerpts have been released from the speech. Listen to what he's saying. Here's one of the excerpts. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards to an America where there is no right to choose, no right to privacy, no right to contraception, no right to marry who you love. Now, only a couple of hours earlier, she said that the speech is going to be optimistic and would not be political. That's political, right?
Pretty political, yeah. When you're calling out a particular group of people who you know aren't playing for your team, yeah, I'd go with that.
He called half the country semi-fascist, and then when asked to explain, he goes, "You know what I mean," and just started laughing.
That's pretty political.
Yeah. She also said that we would Americans would hear from him directly. This is not about one political party. It's not about one person in politics. Well, when you call out quote unquote MAGA, aren't you calling out Trump? I mean, is it me or is he calling out Trump?
Yeah, he's clearly calling out not even a party. He's calling out the specialized people within a party.
He will also speak plainly to the nation about the threats we face and the power we have in our own hands to meet those threats. What does that mean? In order to choose an incredible future. For a long time, we've reassured ourselves that American democracy is guaranteed, but it is not. We have to defend it, protect it, stand up for it, each and every one of us. He's asking people to stop the threats from people that he last week called semi-fascist. Yeah. And Trump's the one who's dangerous. I'm confused.
I've been ready to nuke Washington for 20 years, so they're all bad to me.
Yeah. Why do all these people forget they had the choice to have sex and have unprotected sex? Exactly. These things that he talks about, like marriage is not, first of all, I don't think the government should be involved in who you marry anyway, period, end of story. But it's not in the Constitution. Why is the government involved in it? That's number one. So it's not a right. It's not a right, as we know, rights, like your right to worship, your right to carry a weapon, bear arms, your right to free speech. Those are rights. Marriage is not a right. No right to contraception. That's not a right. Contraception is not a right. No right to marry who you love. Again, not a right. But the things that are rights, like the right to speak freely, how many people who support Trump or believe in America first and disagree with the Democrats will not speak freely for fear of being assaulted? Right? In 2020, it was okay to assault people because they were Nazis. They're literally Nazis. And they were punching people because they're Nazis. So I have the right because what they're saying is, it's fascist, it's this, is that. Now, Biden is turning up the heat and he's taking it one step further. And he's alienating half the country.
Which is the biggest mistake.
Right. So why?
Well, I mean, we have clearly gotten a political climate where it's hard to find people who are trying to unite the country. I mean,
certainly, he said he was going to be the big uniter.
And he's clearly failing, right? I think I've mentioned a guy named Daryl Davis before. He's a really interesting character. He wrote a book called, he's a black guy who wrote a book called How Can You Hate Me If You Don't Even Know Me? And he's the gentleman who's gotten like over 200 Nazis and KK to change their lives. And he says those kind of things start by talking to people who don't agree with you, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, and being in that echo chamber, right? I mean, Joe Rogan simply asked him about Trump supporters because he leans left, but didn't have any like radical left beliefs per se. He's more of a centrist. Sorry, I can't speak English. But he was saying like the first thing people should do should be talking to the people you don't agree with the most.
Right.
So Biden should be reaching out on a constant basis to Trump supporters. What would it take for you to support me? Not fighting them in the streets like a civil war. I mean, how are you appealing to anybody in that? Again, in the end, the only thing I'll give older politicians were they had some understanding that once they're in office, everybody's their constituents.
Right.
You lead the country. He's not leading liberals. He's leading the country. So, like you're saying, alienating half the population, how effective is that? And what example is he setting for everybody else who says, hey, shouldn't we be talking to these people?
Right.
Shouldn't we be reaching out and trying to get them to find some ground that makes sense together?
Right.
We're
Well,
just not in that climate.
if I put my tinfoil hat on, which is right over there, it's just not polished. But if I did polish my tinfoil hat and put it on
I'm
my
a
head,
fan.
I would say that what they're trying to do is purposeful, and they're
Sure.
purposely trying to drive the MAGA, ultra MAGA, the extremists. They mentioned extremist politicians were Marjorie Taylor Greene, Madison Cawthorn, Ron DeSantis, but they said who's not all Republicans
No,
are extreme.
1 out of 3 I agree with.
Larry Hogan is a good what do they say, neutral Republican or a centrist Republican. I'm like, he's one step away from being a Democrat and he's anti-Trump. That's why they like him. So they're not talking
Right.
about all Republicans,
Right.
which is BS. So here's what I think they're doing. I think, and this is just me, I think what they're trying to do is grind MAGA Republicans, which is a vast majority of people in this country who believe you should have an ID to vote, who believe that we should have the border closed, right? Who believe that our vets should get housing before we put up illegals in 4-star hotels in New York City for $500 a night, right? Those people are extreme. They're trying to push these people with a 2-tier justice system. Look what they're doing to people from January 6th. They are ruining everything. They sentenced one guy to 10 years in prison, yet people who tried to burn police officers alive in a precinct in Portland weren't even charged. They were allowed to go, right? So they've entrenched a 2-tier justice system where they will grind you into the ground with lawfare. So these people are just cop and pleas because they literally can't afford to fight it.
To wait it out.
Right? They're letting you know that if you say something they don't like, they will take you off social media, Twitter, Facebook, everything. Banks will refuse to do business with you. They'll jump your accounts. There are other businesses that won't host you. So they're erasing you like the Chinese did, right? The Chinese did.
I was just gonna say, can you imagine if we start getting to a point where Chinese, where we have a social credit score, and now to further down your tin hat road, think of how electronic oriented we're getting. I mean, already did you hear what BMW did? There was BMW and Mercedes. No. If you want to have their the car service, like all the onboard stuff that syncs up to the company, you have to pay for that now.
What do you mean?
Like there's a couple features in your car that are computerized that you have to pay for. They're not part of the package. Like the onboard navigation, they're charging you for stuff like that. Like all the stuff that works your car. So stuff that they can turn on and off, they're starting to charge you for some of these things.
Yeah, well, I don't use, that's, I can use my.
But you see my point. But you see my point, because they can turn these things on or off in your car. Is my point. They can say hey, if you don't, we can essentially. And by the way, they had the technology for longer than we think for them to be able to get into our car and hack our cars. But think of how much we're going toward that kind of technology, right? We're just jumping farther and farther in. Yep. I've always said, how far are we from then being able to just realize you're speeding because your car is telling you they're speeding?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like they don't have to worry about police and if they wanted to know, they could just check.
Yep.
And how far are we from that? It's private now, but.
And the only people who will be punished are those who disagree with the party, capital T, capital P.
The people who are the people who give them the most grief will be the people that 100%.
Exactly. So that's what's happening. All right. I want to bang through some of this stuff because it is Friday of Labor Day. Thursday of Labor Day weekend, so I want to just bang through this stuff. This just came out. Hunter Biden was instrumental in helping a Rosemont Seneca Partners client. He was, one of the founders of Rosemont Seneca with Devin Archer. And so helping the client and a Democrat donor secure an event at the Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. after networking with one of the top officials at the embassy during a luncheon in January 2011 hosted by, at the time, Vice President Joe Biden. But Joe Biden told us he is not involved with his son's business dealings at all. At all, ever. ever, not involved. Not involved. Now you know where the 10%, now you know who the big guy is. The emails show that Hunter and his former business partner, Eric Schwerin, helped Marvin Lang, the managing director of Guardian Realty in Maryland, plan a dinner with the Chinese embassy's minister, Deng Hongbo, on April 28th of 2011, which was later touted on China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs website. Ted Kaufman, a longtime friend of President Biden and part of his inner circle of advisors dating back to the 70s, was the keynote speaker. It was an annual investment dinner, and he was paid $10,000 following the dinner for his services. Planning the event appears to have started in December of 2010 after Lang, who has donated tens of thousands of dollars to Democrats, emailed Hunter thanking him for meeting him for lunch and saying he was excited to form a long relationship with Rosemont, Hunter and Schwerin's now defunct investment firm. This is all from Fox. Guardian bills itself as a fully integrated, I don't care about that. Let's see. After some back and forth discussion between Hunter, Schwerin, and Lang about possible venues for the event, Hunter emailed Schwerin January 12th of 2011 saying, Marvin wants to know where we are on finding space for the dinner. Chinese embassy is his number one choice. A week later, Schwerin sent an email to Lang that CC'd Hunter saying Hunter had a lunch that included the number 3 official at the Chinese embassy and that he could be helpful in securing the location for the dinner. Yeah. So based on emails and news articles reviewed by Fox Digital, the lunch that Schwerin is referring to in the email was the luncheon that then Vice President Biden and then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton hosted for Hu Jintao, China's president at the time, in the State Department's Benjamin Franklin room on January 19th of 2011. And Hunter just happened to be there and just happened to negotiate this deal.
Shocking.
Yep, but media doesn't care.
Almost like they've been lying to us a lot, and Hunter is much shadier than we're been given access to.
Yeah, but
or been told.
But you know, don't look at that. Look at Donald Trump over there. He's a bad person. He's a bad man.
There's enough room for bad people in the world, but clearly they're not telling us something. Without a doubt.
Think?
I would almost bet on it at this point. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I'm still holding out that Biden and that Hunter might be a good guy after all, but it's seeming to look like he's not the guy they're portraying him to be. I don't know.
There are people on Twitter who still tell me that the laptop is fake. The laptop is fake. None of it's fake. We don't know that it's his. Nobody has come out and said that it's Hunter's. I'm like, both the Washington Post and the New York Times verified the emails, but they didn't verify that it's Hunter's laptop. I'm like, are you telling me that's not Hunter in those pictures? Well, deep fakes are really good. I'm like, wait, what?
Deep fakes.
What? What? But these people believe this. It's crazy.
Look, my parents are pretty liberal, and my parents certainly acknowledge and understand how shady this gentleman is. I was gonna say boy. This nice boy is. Turns out he's a little shady. He's a little rough around it. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what TikToks are left in the world that actually believe that this guy is in any way not shady. Look at that. That's the difference between politics and ideology, right? Like, you can lean real left or lean real right, but in the end of the day, if we're not calling out who the scumbags are on both teams,
I agree.
What are we really doing? You certainly will call them out. You've had no problem calling out people on the right who are terrible humans. So you don't give one crap at all. It can't be a team sport. It really has to be. It's funny. It's all like pop up. If you're not willing to call out the scumbags in your own party, you can't call out the scumbags in the other party.
I agree.
You have to be able to look at what's reality and what's happening.
Yeah, but see, when your political views come from deeply held beliefs, you can't see it any other way, because it's like a religious belief. It's what you truly believe. You know what I mean? Like, Fauci is one of the saints in the religion of the left, in the religion that doesn't have a church religion. Their church is government, the church of the government. And so therefore the disciples of that, the DOJ, the FBI, any government alphabet agency is infallible and is doing God's work. the government's work. And who consists of the government is the party. That's from both sides, who are part of the deep state, who want to keep the status quo, who don't want someone like Donald Trump coming in and disrupting it, right? Who want to maintain the power and are just going to keep taking more and more and more. And so if you come in and challenge that and go, well, wait a minute, what about this? They lose their minds because you are challenging their religion. And it's very hard to have a religious discussion with somebody like that. You just can't. So, but you and I don't believe in parties. I believe in a candidate. You believe in a candidate. Neither one of us belong to parties.
Yep.
And that's part
100%.
of the difference. Oh my God, we're perfect.
Yeah. I am certainly flawless. I can tell you that. No flaws here. I've worked them all out.
Ron, these are not the droids you're looking for. Yeah, a lot of them probably are bots on Twitter who do that. So, okay, speaking of the religion of the left, Al, communism can't have two parties.
Check.
There you go. Exactly. Exactly. It's got to be authoritarian, one-party system. The same to Dr. Fauci, peace and blessings be upon him. He's he's stepping down after the midterm elections. Guess what he said, though? He put a warning out there. Guess what?
Uh-oh. Monkeypox?
Gotta brace. You know what's coming? A really bad flu season. The flu is back. Miraculously, the flu went away for 2 years. Nobody had the flu. And now suddenly the flu is back. So he thinks we should all get vaccinated against the flu. Is anyone listening to this man anymore? Because, I'm not I'll get a shingle shot, right? Because they say you hit 50, you should get a shingle shot, right? I know people older than me who have had shingles, and it's miserable. It's horrible, right? Yeah. So I'm like, okay, that vaccine's been around for 15 years. I'm good with that.
Right.
The flu, when I had COVID, my husband's like, you have a moderate case of the flu, because with not being able to drink water and having intestinal issues with it, I lost a lot of weight and I was getting really dehydrated and I had a fever. So I was miserable. And I kept telling him, you have to take me to the hospital. He's like, okay, you have moderate flu symptoms. I was like, oh, are you telling me I'm being dramatic? But, so the flu, a lot of times the flu shot only protects you from 30% if they guess the wrong strains of the flu that are going to be prevalent.
55 at best.
Yeah,
55 to 35%. We're all like, that flu shot's great.
Yeah. I just think Fauci has kind of ruined the whole vaccine game for a lot of people. Yeah,
of course. Well, did they think trying to force it down people's throats was gonna win any hearts and minds? Especially with I under my doctor's advisement, I obviously, and I had some issues, so the doctor said, hey, get the vaccine. So I took the vaccine and whatever the first little thing you had to do after, or the first two, or whatever.
One booster.
Yeah, one booster. And obviously I'm done. So I'm good with that. I'm good there. But bigger point being is that doesn't mean I trust the drug companies with a proven track record of screwing the public and, having their own self-interest of money get in the way of, let's say, ethics. So, it was fascinating to me to watch people on the left just oh no, it's the greatest thing ever, the vaccine. And not only that, thank you, Pfizer. You are amazing.
But do you remember when Trump was president and talking about Operation Warp Speed and we're going to have a vaccine and all this other stuff? Both Kamala Harris and Joe Biden said they would not take the vaccine because it was developed under this president. Once he was no longer
I didn't understand, it was pretty bonkers.
They were suddenly touting the vaccine. And I was like, wow, that's weird. You just told me that it wasn't safe. You just told me that this was a terrible thing and nobody should get it. Now you're telling me I should. Huh.
I wonder if there were any pharmacies or pharmaceutical companies donating to anybody's campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
go figure.
Yeah. Oh, and the other report that came out, did you see the school kids have lost like 2 years worth of education and their reading ability and their math and everything else? And what is the administration is blaming it on Trump for not getting the schools open fast enough. This administration was the one that allowed the teachers union, the NEA, make the policy and say they weren't going back to school. But they're blaming Trump. Remember when Trump wanted to send the kids back to school in the fall of 2020? He's like, I want the kids back in school. That's what we need to do. They're like, you're killing our children. He's irresponsible. And they beat him with that, that he was going to kill our children. And now they're blaming him for the kids losing 2 years worth of knowledge and being behind for not opening the school sooner. Like, do they not know that parents especially remember this?
Well, Mary, I mean, don't you understand? They wouldn't have been able to go back to school and keep the 6 feet distance. Oh, wait, that's right. They proved the 6 feet distance wasn't a thing.
Yeah, that was not a thing either. Yeah.
That wasn't a thing. And so that was an arbitrary number.
You know what bothers me about this whole thing? With these lies, there's flat out lies, right? That no, there are people walking across the border. There really are people just walking across the border. And now they just admitted that they have flown thousands and thousands of illegals on planes and into communities who had COVID. They've now admitted that. But when people were saying, they're like, that's not happening. What bothers me about all of this is they're not even trying anymore. Like if I'm dating somebody, let's say you're dating somebody. That's the way I like to view my relationship with the government. We're like dating, right?
Okay.
And she tells you a lie, and but she put some thought into it, and you had to really think about it and you had to do some digging to find out the truth. I could almost respect that. But when you're just looking at me and you're in bed with another woman, my man's in bed with another woman, and I'm standing in the bedroom and he's telling me that's not happening. All right, now it's insulting, okay? At least put some effort into lying to me, could you? Otherwise, it's just insulting at this point.
It's not what you think. I know we're both naked. I know I'm on top of her, but it's not what you think.
You're crazy.
Yeah, you're crazy. You get so angry over nothing.
What's wrong with you?
This isn't politics, but I do know a gentleman who did that exact thing.
How'd that work out?
Cheated on the girl who had a key to his apartment, and she came just walking in the apartment with the key that he gave her, walked up to the bedroom, and there was a girl on top of him. And his first words were, he goes, "I'm so stupid." I mean, besides the fact he realizes that cheating is stupid, but I mean, the first words out of his mouth were, "This is not what it looks like."
How did that work out?
Not good. Turns out not good. They are not dating anymore. He's now happily married and a normal person, but in our crazier 20s, he literally said those exact words. He goes, "I never felt so stupid as after that. I hear those words in my head every day. I hear, it's not what you think," looking at a naked girl on top of him, at his girlfriend at the door, and going, "It's not what you think." And he goes, it's like being shot in a movie and having that, "I'm hit." I've heard military guys say, "I actually said that and can't believe I said it," because he's such a joke for movies. But yeah, yep.
But that's how I feel. Like this administration isn't even trying to pretend to lie to me. They're just flat out lying to me. They know that I know that they're lying, and they don't care. It's so annoying. Maybe that vaccine in China, Hunter can make a killing on them. Yeah, there you go. There's an opportunity for Hunter. Al, I won't tell you if Biden starts talking. I have morals or Morales. He has Morales. Sorry, I'm gonna stick with his spelling. His morals. Okay. Did you see that Gutfeld, the show on Fox? Gutfeld beat out every other late night show, finally beat Colbert, dethroned Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel and the rest of them. Did you see that?
I did not.
Yes. Yeah. Gutfeld, the #1 evening show. And I wonder if if liberal media has jumped the shark. Because the Washington Post is unveiling a new social media policy because they had a whole big battle going on. Remember with Taylor Lorenz, and somebody retweeted a post that said, my girl, my girl just announced that she's bi. I have to find out if it's polar or crazy, which is funny. That's funny. And he
Yeah.
retweeted, and so somebody hit one of his coworkers, went to social media and said, this is terrible. And she filed a complaint because he's a misogynist and blah, 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 blah. And the whole thing, everybody took to Twitter because all these people are in like their 30s and have no concept of how business works or where the line is. And the whole thing played out on Twitter. And the Washington Post was just putting out fires right, left, and sideways, and people got fired, and there were lawsuits, and it was so dumb, right?
Right.
But so now they're on track to lose money in 2022. You've got the big shakeup at CNN with people getting fired. Brian Stelter, the potato, is gone, right?
Yeah.
You can't tell me Don Lemon will probably be the last one to go because he's a gay man of color. So he checks 2 boxes right there, right? I mean, 3 is the magic number, but he checks 2. Joy Reid and the rest of them.
Funny you said about CNN. They've been trying to throw that banner out that they're going to go back to news.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to happen, but if it does, it'd be nice to see just people doing news. Well, we do have the dilemma of, and look, and I mean this on every side. You can like a Don Lemon or you can like a Hannity, whatever you like, but you have to remember at the end, it is infotainment and not news.
Right.
You can't.
Right.
They have the freedom to be as much, I'll say, like a Jon Stewart as they want. Like, that's why Gutfeld is what he is, right? Because he's funny, but he's bringing you news as ways to be funny and kind of get things out there, but he's not professing to be like a newsman. It's a funny show, a late night show based around political humor. It's like the Wright's version of Stewart or whatever, if you want to call it that model, right? Funny stuff based around events of the day. That's fine. And maybe a Hannity or a Lemon talks more about issues and does less comedy, but in the end, it's not news. And that's what I think people are tired of, is going to 24-hour news cycles that are more filled with shows than news. I think inevitably people have to get back to news.
Yeah.
And news. Just news. News. And I don't know if that's a business model that makes money, but I do know people are tired of not feeling like there's a way to get real news.
Yeah. Well, listen to this. This is another reason I think liberal media has jumped the shark. Fox News dominated in the 25 to 54 age group, getting younger viewers, which I thought was really interesting. I thought that was very interesting. You should host Gutfeld at least. It should be hilarious. Yeah, Sherry, I'm too old for Fox. I used to be on Fox all the time. I used to be on Red Eye all the time with Greg Gutfeld. I adore Greg. But I aged out of Fox, so they don't want anything to do with me. So there you go. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. Sorry, but thank you. I appreciate that. And I had a blast when I was on Red Eye. I had so much fun. That was such a fun show to do. I loved it.
Oh, I'll bet. Sounds like a blast.
And we would all go out afterwards because it taped at like 8 o'clock at night, and it aired at 2 o'clock in the morning, but it taped at 8 o'clock at night. We'd all go out afterwards and have a blast. All right, so the top 3 cable news networks, Fox News, MSNBC, and CNN, saw a drop in the younger demographic from last August when everything was about Joe Biden's pullout from Afghanistan, the whole bit. All right, from last year, from August of last year.
Right.
The drop in demo viewership was particularly noticeable during prime time. All 3 networks were down 20% from last year. CNN saw its total day demo viewership drop 21% over the year.
That'll get people fired.
That will get people fired. Exactly. The potato.
That's so great. I'm sorry.
Fox News was down 12% and MSNBC was down 9%. Day viewership, Fox News, though, was up 4%, MSNBC was up 10%, and CNN was down 10% year to year. In prime time, MSNBC saw growth in total viewers with a 5% increase. In the overall demo, though, 25-54, because if you're older 54, advertisers apparently think you're dead, which is dumb because that age group over 54 has a lot of money, a lot of disposable income, but they write you off.
Oh, yeah.
If you're under 25, they don't care. They write you off. Tucker Carlson landed in first place for the month with an average of 486,000 in demo viewers, 25-54, followed by The Five, and then Hannity, top 3 shows. Gutfeld and the Ingram angle, tied for fourth in that time slot. Then Jesse Waters, Brett Baer, then Rachel Maddow. Anderson Cooper on CNN was the only show to place in the top 20. He came in 17th on CNN. So so basically Fox dominated with daytime viewers in 2554. Let's see. Total day viewers, Fox dominated. 1.5 million. CNN had 561,000.
Oh.
In the 2554 demo, Fox had 211 and MSNBC had 89,000. For total viewers, for prime time 8 to 11 p.m., Fox had 2.3, CNN had 733,000. 2.3 million versus 733,000. Now, 2554 in prime time, Fox News had 311,000. CNN had, MSNBC is the worst with 134,000.
130.
But Fox, out of those three cable news networks, Fox is the one that dominated 2554 in everyday part. And Gutfeld, which is really funny, because again, I adore Greg. He is the nicest guy, so I'm so happy for him. But the show's funny.
Yeah.
But beating out Colbert and Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel for the first time. Is the pendulum swinging, especially with the younger demographic? Has
Sure.
because it happens, you always want to yell whatever the comment, know what it is now. Are they rebelling? Is that what's happening?
I think there's definitely some of that going on. I think there's some people who are just out of the TV world, right? They're just out of network TV and just gone to strictly internet platforms, which means liberal or, the other side media are going to lose out anyway on those viewers. But I mean, if the pool that's in still watching network TV is skewing that way, you're right. Could be saying something.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Well, again, okay. I think I broke up before we go to the story. I was just going to say, I do gauge a little what's going on in culture on where comedians are in the world. And I would say comedians are pretty center at this point. They're not, they're just as willing to now hack up the liberal side as they are, the right.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, like in 2016, every comedian in the world was Trump.
Right.
And now there's plenty of Biden targeting, and showing that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And that's traditionally not that way. Yeah. I mean, comedians are pretty true sayers, but I mean, when you see them attacking what's happening now in the same vigor, you're like, oh, okay, there's some stuff going on in the world. There's people who aren't happy just with any of it. That's exactly. That's a good place to be.
Yeah.
Or a good start. I should say a good place to be, but a good start.
So thank you, Sherry. I do fill in for Kill Me, but that's radio. This is not on TV because this is too old. Sorry.
That's so crazy.
But it's true. Men are always.
I get it.
Men get distinguished. Women get old, and that's just the way it is. Unless you have a phenomenal plastic surgeon, and I can't afford that. So there you go. These rating stats are great. Yes, they are, Sherry. All right, so we're kind of getting up against the clock. We want to get out of here before the president has to read the teleprompter. So we have 7 minutes. I love this story. I had to share this with you because this just makes me laugh. Because I love, because on the left they have the hierarchy, the pyramid of, of victimhood. They have the pyramid of victimhood. Like right now, John Fetterman, he's a victim because he had a stroke, and Dr. Oz wants him to debate, but he can't because he's had a stroke. But he's a victim because he can't do it. You should feel sorry for me because I'm disabled, but I'm able enough to be the governor, to be a senator. So he's doing that thing. So they have their pyramid, and women used to be at the top, and women have been kicked down, for men who feel like they're women. They're now higher than women and all that other stuff, right? So it's fun to watch them cannibalize their own on their climb up to the top. So in England, in Wales, Cardiff, there was a pride march. And there was a lesbian group called Get the L Out UK. They were forced out of the Pride Parade on Saturday And the group is claiming that trans activism erases lesbians and silences and demonizes lesbians who dare to speak out. So what they're saying is that men who feel like women are not women, and because if they're in a relationship with a woman, they're lesbians, but the lesbians are saying, no, you're not lesbians, you're men who say that you're a woman who's in a relationship with a woman, but you're really a man and she's really a woman biologically. So they're upset that they're being pushed down the victimhood ladder in order for these men to climb over them.
And they better be careful, or they're start canceling some gay people. Those will be some very canceled lesbians out there.
Well, they
And
got
that,
thrown
by
out
the
of the
way,
parade. They got thrown out of the parade.
That's going to be like World War III in that community. And by the way, I've heard some of that sentiment before. I just saw a little plug for one of my favorites. Her name's Christina P, and she has a show called Where My Mom's At. She's just so funny. I watch it anyway, and I find so many guys watch it because she's just a funny comedian. And she just played it. She got kicked off TikTok for doing what I'm doing here, to watching a video of a woman in the aisle of like a Target or a supermarket or whatever, complaining that they should just be called the menstruation aisle because, of course, women aren't the only menstruators. So she did a whole video about that, about how that's how sexist, and you need to be more inclusive in period talk because men can menstruate. So it should just be the menstruation aisle and not be in a female section. And
well, the word men is in it, so there you go.
Sure. Yeah, well, you're correct. if you just look, it's already there. You don't have to go far. They're just not seeing it. I don't understand how they're not seeing it. But yeah, so she was doing this as the woman was doing it, and TikTok is so sensitive to it, they threw her off. So she couldn't even shake her head in like funny disbelief. She didn't say a word, just like kind of disbelief, and that got her thrown off TikTok. So there is, as much as I think cancel culture is on its way out, clearly social media platforms, if we've had enough, social media platforms are still way too involved and way too serious. Well, they're going to
eventually cancel so many people, there's going to be nobody left on their platforms.
Yeah, right.
But so these lesbians, and I didn't include the audio here because you can hear all these people screaming and yelling in the background because the lesbians are screaming at the trans people, and the trans people are trans, whatever, I don't know, men, women, whatever, are screaming at the lesbians. And I got to tell you, if they threw down, my money was on the lesbians. That was just me. I mean, my money's on them. And you hear this woman say to the cop, I want to make sure that I understand that you're removing lesbians from an LGBT march. It's like, this is awesome.
We've said it before. Eventually, you start in a situation like this, you just start eating your own, right? That's what happens. Well,
exactly.
You can't be angry at other people, and then you just start looking internally for people that are you just get drunk with dissent, right?
Yep. Well, Martina Navratilova, who, by the way, fun fact, when I was living in Texas for 1 year, 2 months, and 3 days, my roommate at the time, she and I saw Martina Navratilova in a mall, and we followed her around. It was Martina Navratilova.
That's awesome.
Why we did. Martina Navratilova said, "This just shows how ridiculous and sideways things are going in our LGBT community. Erasing the L. Wow. Misogyny is alive and well."
If men can find a way to take over, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. People who were originally males and now are other things, if they can find a way, we will find a way to take over.
Oh, and here's the thing, you know me, both of us, we don't care. Be you. I don't care. I don't care if you want to be, if you're a man, you want to become a woman, you're a woman, you want to become do you. I don't care. But if you want tolerance, you have to be tolerant. And
in fairness,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, because in fairness, I know trans people that think this is all nonsense, right? That this is bad representation for them. This is not what their thing is. They just want to live their lives like normal people. So I think the problem is, in most of these situations talk about, it is always the loudest and the craziest that get the biggest say.
And I think that's a bad way to do this.
God, is it bad? Of course.
Yeah. Canada now puts two spirits first. Two SLGBT. Get out. I didn't know that. I don't even know what two spirit is, nor do I want to know. There's just too many categories. There's not enough room up here. There's important things that I need to keep up here, like where are my car keys? I cannot add another gender up here because the filing space that it's full. The filing cabinet is full.
Last I checked, there was 22. And
I
as
think
much
there's
as I'm
more than
okay
that.
with, and as much as
there's
I'm
more
okay
than
with the spectrum, I did kind of feel like the spectrum sort of said this: you're straight, you're gay, you're both,
You're neither.
or you're not, or you're neither. Right? Fourth is not,
Right.
or you're nothing. Like you're
Yeah.
asexual, right?
Yeah.
All
Can
the
we keep
ones
it to that?
all the ones after that are some level of that. I'm feeling closer to this, or I want to be able to be this, then this, or but there's in general, it's really just I'm both, I'm one or the other, or I'm nothing.
How
And
about everybody just keep
four would be a great. Yeah, well, there of course there's that because I don't, I put it on my Instagram for fun, joking. I put he, him on there,
Yeah.
and again, I'm fine with you want to have pronouns, but what was it? Was Carmel House not that long ago? So actually said it came out like in the beginning of her speech and said, whatever,
Oh,
she,
Kamala
they, or
Harris.
whatever.
She,
Yeah,
her. Like,
yeah, she, her, right? In the beginning of a speech, like,
stop.
what are you doing?
Right.
What kind of
Um,
virtue signal are you doing?
our timekeeper Al is blowing the whistle on us here, but very. So you know what? We're not going to do this last story. We'll do this another time. Actually, I'm going to do it tomorrow on WPHT 1210 AM in Philadelphia. Download the Odyssey app or just go to 1210 PHT. You can put that in your search and you can listen online or on the Odyssey app from 10 to noon Eastern time. I'll be filling in for Dawn Stenslin. Please like the podcast. Please subscribe if you have not done so. You'll go back and watch past episodes. We'd love to have you do that. And that's tomorrow. I'm on PHT 10 to noon. Saturday, I will be on the Wendy Bell Show on Newsmax TV at 4:30 Eastern Time. And then Monday, I will be on Newsmax TV again on the Chris Salcedo Show. I want to say 4:45. That is subject to change somewhere in the 4 o'clock hour, just so you know. James, you got anything you want to plug?
Playing music, working in radio. So far, nothing exciting to plug yet.
All right. Well, that's good. Well, thank
We'll
you for
get there.
joining me. I appreciate it. Thank you to everybody for joining us. It's so great to have
Thank you.
Sherry, a new voice. Thank you so much. And everybody have fun watching the president read the teleprompter. We'll see you next week.
Can't wait.